Judy was boring.
Hello.
Then Judy discovered ChumbaCasino.com.
It's my little escape.
Now Judy's the life of the party.
Oh, baby, mama's bringing home the bacon.
Whoa, take it easy, Judy. The Chumba life is for everybody. So go to ChumbaCasino.com and play over 100 casino-style games. Join today and play for free for your chance to redeem some serious prizes. ChumbaCasino.com. No purchase necessary. Void where prohibited by law. 18 plus terms and conditions apply. See website for details.
Welcome to Bite Size Bios. This is meant to be a mini-sode that will accompany HDTH. Every week, I will pick a person from history and dive into their lives. All right, welcome back to another episode of Bite Size Bios, BSB. This is episode number 25. We're going to be covering Weird Al Yankovic. And I by the end of this, I'm still not sure which one it is. But we're going to get into that, but definitely because this is the mini episode accompaniment to How Did That Happen, we have to get into last week's episode, which was about submarines, which, like I said, ended up being one of my more favorite topics to actually research. I was not expecting, the amount of joy that came from that. I really ended up watching just like hours of like submarine videos, and they're on YouTube, man. You can do there's so many videos of like that guy from like ABC News just like going on submarines and just hanging out with them, and you can see like nuclear submarines. And I was gonna talk about more of that stuff, but I just didn't feel like that stuff's already out there, so there's really no point in me like putting there's no extra spin or hot take that I can give from that. What I will say I thought was interesting is on those videos, a lot of them they were able to show the nuclear tubes where the missiles were. But they wouldn't let you see the actual reactors. Like they was like, oh yeah, the door is over there. And they're like pointing like, yep, there. And like it was like down the hallway. And they're like, yeah, that's as far as you can go. Like I thought that was really like, oh, so we really are still keeping some stuff top secret classified. But submarines are very interesting. It was really cool to see how we had them for. I mean, like we said. I mean, if you believe, which I believe Alexander the Great had a submarine. I believe that. I didn't know that's one of the beliefs I had to uphold and try to defend, but I do believe that Alexander the Great had a submarine, so that puts our submarine creation date somewhere about 3,000 years ago, give or take. I don't know. That's wild. It's that stuff that we try to uncover here on How Did That Happen. Yeah, it was definitely, that, and even to know that there were submarines in pretty much every major American war. Not everyone. I'm not sure that I guess we had submarines in Vietnam. I'm not sure. There was one of the things that I wanted to, a little bit of submarine knowledge that I have. Just because I'd like to look stuff up because of where I'm from. I'm from Hampton Roads, and during World War II, I know that there had been sightings of German U-boats off the coast of the Atlantic Ocean over in like the Norfolk, area where like our naval bases were. Like there have been documented. So the Germans had gotten all the way over to America, and when I read that, it was kind of unsettling to know that we were that close. You think of all that World War II stuff happening way over there in Europe and in Asia and stuff like that. But it's like, no, the Germans were like straight up, they were here. They were here. I think they say the same thing about the Japanese on the other side too, that they had come out, to the Pacific Ocean to spots in California as well. So it's I don't know. You always, it's like this veil of safety you think actually exists, but we're not really sure. But yeah, I don't think there's much else to say. But we talked about all the different great submarine movies that I mentioned. I love those. I hope you guys check those out. Crimson Tide is definitely my favorite of all the ones that I mentioned. Hunt for Red October is great. It's obviously part of the Jack Ryan series, which Amazon has exploited beyond belief at this point. But that was kind of the original beginning of Jack Ryan as far as I think in actual movie terms. Great movie. U571, another good movie. There's a bunch of them out there. There's even Up Periscope. Is it Up Periscope? Down Periscope. The one with Rob Schneider. Am I confusing them? Is that one? And then what's that other movie? Was it Hot? What's it called? Hot Shots. I think they're also in the military in that one too. I don't know if they're down in the submarine. Kind of getting off here, but yeah, not much more to mention. I do want to mention before I get out of here. I know I don't normally do a what am I watching, but I probably should since I always seem to have something else to say about this time of what am I watching. I just watched Yellow Jackets on Showtime. I know I might be late, probably a couple years late. But man, that show is good. Oh my gosh. These girls, their plane crashes on this island or on this place, not an island, but on this kind of wilderness of wherever they're at, and they end up there's demon kind of spirits. They end up maybe kind of wanting to eat each other and stuff. It's definitely pretty wild. But yes, if you get a chance, check that out. As always, if you like what you hear here, give us a like and subscribe wherever you're listening to this. 5 stars if you can, 2 stars if you can't. Please tell us why you didn't want to. Construction criticism is always welcome. At HCT Happen for all the socials, which is mainly just Instagram and Twitter. I've actually been kind of locked out of my Twitter account for the last day or two. I'm not sure why, but I should be able to get back in there in the next couple days. HCTHappen.com for everything else, all the extras. You know, you find the works cited and videos and pictures for everything that we do here. There's not much else to say, so without further ado, as we know to do, here is the episode.
When I signed with Capitol Records, they paid me $500 for the master of My Bologna. 3 or 4 years later, when I re-recorded it for my first real album, I think they charged me $1,000 for the right to re-record it. And that, my friends, is why they call it the record business.
Okay, so we are here today to talk about Weird Al Yankovic. Whichever we see fit to Kovic today. Before we get into it, just if you didn't know him, so I'm not sure how far it reaches generationally. He's won 4 Grammy Awards. He's had multiple top 10 Billboard albums. Let's see, anything else before we get into it? Just to say this guy's he's done some stuff, But yeah, so Weird Al Yankovic was born Alfred Matthew Yankovic in Downey, California on October 23rd, 1959. He was the only child of Mary Elizabeth and Nick Yankovic. He was raised in nearby Linwood, California, which is actually right next to Compton. I didn't know that until I was watching a documentary about him, and he mentioned it in there. It's kind of funny to think all of the different parodies that he made of different rappers, and he himself was really lived in Compton adjacent. It's kind of interesting. His father was from Kansas City, Kansas, and he was kind of Slovenian and Croatian. And he was actually, I believe he was a medic in World War II, and he earned 2 Purple Hearts. His father also believed the key to success was quote, doing for a living whatever makes you happy. That's what he believed was the key to success. Which I tend to believe myself. It's just so hard to get to a point where that can be a thing, you know? We all can't just walk out here and just do what we want for a living. Like I always say, the world needs janitors. It really does. And I don't mean that in any sort of way. Like we're all doing what we want. No one's going to want to clean the bathrooms, you know? But yeah, he often reminded his son of this philosophy. His mom was a stenographer. Old Weird Al's first accordion lesson came really because there was a door-to-door instrument salesman, which is, I guess, some things that's just a thing that happened back then. A guy would just walk around from house to house and be like, you want to buy some instruments? And people would. And so they offered him basically the idea of either the guitar or an accordion, which is the choice right there. And I believe his parents chose the accordion. It's weird because they chose it because they thought, there's another famous accordion guy named Frankie Yankovic, who's not evidently related to them at all, but they thought, okay, well, if this guy's named Yankovic and he plays the accordion, maybe our son can do the same thing. Similarly, that's basically what I've gotten from the reading and watching different things. They say different stuff, but that's pretty much what it boils down to. So he ended up getting an accordion. And Weird Al was actually pretty smart. He would end up skipping a couple grades early on in school. He skipped from kindergarten to 2nd grade. Another little tidbit about him: his dad would let him build tunnels under their house. And there are pictures. If you find, I think I have it on the works site, so it might be on the website. He would literally just build tunnels in the basement of there, and they're like kind of unfinished basement of their house, which sounds not smart. Only because, like, what if he hit like something in the foundation or something, or I don't know. That doesn't seem like. I don't think I'd let my kid do that. That wouldn't be that cool of a dad. So in the 70s, when Weird Al was in his teens, he was into certain songs such as he was into Elton John. He loved Goodbye Yellow Brick Road, which is a good jam. And he says that's one of the reasons he learned to play rock and roll on the accordion is because of that song, which it's one of my favorite Elton John songs. As far as comedy would go, he was a fan of Spike Jonze, Stan Freberg, Alan Sherman, Shel Silverstein, which is he wrote the rest of those good books. And then he was even a fan of the Dr. Demento radio show, which would come to be a large part of his career, actually. This is where he would kind of get his big break as far as being heard. his comedy parodies being heard on more of a larger scale. And so Weird Al went to Linwood High School, where, like we said, he was 2 years younger than his class, so it was a little bit kind of a different experience for him. He wasn't interested in sports or social events. He was in the National Forensic League, which that's a mouthful. He was he was a valedictorian of his high school, of his senior class in 1976. And from there, he went on to Cal Poly in San Luis Obispo, and he got a degree in architecture, which I think is, when they say that, it's so interesting, because you would just think, I don't know, you would never think that the guy doing all this, you know, that they eat it, you know, that guy, that has a degree in architecture as well. I thought that was something that I was going to do once upon a time. I took some architecture classes back in the day, but that's cool. But during this time, he got his own radio show called The Weird Al Show, went on the college radio, and he only had it for not very long, because it ended up being canceled, because he was just playing whatever he wanted, and he was ignoring, like, the choices, the college's suggestions for stuff that should be played, so he didn't have that job for very long. But right before he graduated college, in his senior year, he recorded the parody to My Sharona, which is My Baloney, you know. And so this would end up being played on that Dr. Demento, you know, radio kind of show. It was, you know, because Dr. Demento was a Southern California-based radio show. He was a comedy radio personality. Weird Al is quoted as saying that, you know, quote, if there hadn't been a Dr. Demento, I probably wouldn't have a real job now, end quote. And so this is where, like, you know, say his first couple songs would get played. This is what kind of made him really kind of see that he could have a possible career in music. Once he graduated from college, he worked at Westwood One in the mailroom for a little bit. And, before we get too far, I wanted to mention where he got the name Weird Al from. This was actually right around the time he got it while he was in college. It was actually something they would call him in kind of a derogatory way in the dormitories where he was living at during that time. Like, he was a weird guy, Weird Al, Alfred, who's Weird Al. But then he kind of just took that and kind of made it his own thing. And made it, you know, kind of made it a term of endearment, if you will, and kind of put a positive spin on it. In 1981, he would go on tour with Dr. Demento as part of his act. And when he would do this, he would meet, I guess you can call this guy, he was a manager basically by the name of Jay Levy, and he was the guy who saw, I don't want to say saw the vision, but he was the first guy who kind of wanted to kind of see how far he could, how can I put this? I guess to try to help Weird Al become Weird Al. That's kind of, I guess, what I'm trying to say. And so he ended up finding this guy he held auditions for his band. Got a guy named Steve J to be his bass player. Jim West would play guitar. They had their first show in '82. That kept on kind of going, and then that same year was when Michael Jackson released Thriller, the album, and on that, of course, was the song "Beat It," and that is when, basically, that's when Weird Al recorded "Eat It," and that would kind of become the beginning kind of what the Weird Al parody kind of music thing would become from that point forward. He would go on to do different things, a bunch of different types of songs. I actually have a list here of his top 10, some that you might know, some that you may not know. Of course, we covered "Eat It." He did, which was "Beat It," "My Sharona." He would do "Amish Paradise," which was Gangster's Paradise. And they even said that him and Coolio had an issue together, I guess, or about, you know, him actually being able to use the actual music, which is a big thing with Weird Al. And what he says is that every song that he does is cleared by the actual original artist. He's not doing this. He's doing it in jest, but he's not doing it to, like, really, like, I guess, make fun of these people. And so if they're not cool with it, he doesn't go forward with it. But really, he said once he did Michael Jackson's songs, it became a lot easier for people to, or a lot of artists were fine with giving over their rights for him to do the parodies. I think he said the one person that that doesn't like it is Eminem, which Eminem seems like a tough cookie to crack. Or you don't even crack cookies, but you guys kind of know what I mean. Like, he moves differently. He's a really great rapper. He's one of the greatest rappers to ever live, but he just seems to moves differently. But yeah, back to the list. He did another one, "Rides the Bus," which of course is the parody off of another one, "Bites the Dust," or another one, "Rides the Bus," another one, "Bites." Try to say that 10 times fast, but yeah. So he has a bunch. He's actually really successful. He kind of made a way with with making fun of people's songs. It's kind of interesting. That's why I was kind of wanting to know about his life. There's not much more about, we could run down his albums and all this good stuff, but like I said the stuff earlier, he's won 4 Grammys. Multiple top 10 Billboard albums, which is just, you're doing all this off of making fun of people's songs. You're not even making your own songs, doing it on the accordion, no less. But yeah, before we get out of here, dude, I did want to mention some stuff about his personal life. It is really kind of sad. His parents were found dead in their home in 2004. And it was a weird kind of a sight, really, when they went in there. It was just them, like, on the couch, just they were just sitting there and they were dead. And they weren't sure what happened. But when they found out what had actually happened, is they turned on the fireplace, but didn't open the flue, basically to allow the smoke to get out. So they basically just suffered. They choked on carbon monoxide. Just a weird turn of events. A couple years before that, he would end up getting married to a marketing exec at 20th Century Fox by the name of Susan Krajewski. Like I said, they met in 2001. They had a daughter in 2003. Actually, they don't have the date when they married. I take that back. But their daughter's name is Nina. They live out in LA. But yeah, there's not much more I wanted to cover about him. I just kind of wanted to just get into a little bit of Weird Al. Keep this bite-sized bio pretty bite-sized. All right, learned a lot about Weird Al Yankovic. All one and the same, all the same guy. It's kind of sad to hear how he got that name. He was basically just being made fun of in college. But I mean, you own your truth, I guess. And now he's who's laughing now? Who's I guess probably everybody, because he does comedy, but definitely him too. Yeah, I think I was just curious. Really, there's little bits and tidbits and pieces that make me most interested about people like this, like the accordion thing. Like, how did you end up just playing the accordion, bro? Why is that some stuff that you thought was just to do? And then, I mean, really that, I guess, really just the accordion thing, and then your name. That was the biggest thing for me. Is like, why does he play the accordion? Why do they call you Weird Al? I feel like we got to the bottom of that, which is why we do this from week to week. Definitely come back and check out another episode whenever we do. It's gonna be next week, every Thursday, 4:30 a.m. If you like what you heard here, as always, give us a like and subscribe wherever you listen to this. 5 stars if you can, 2 stars if you can't. Tell us why you can. That'd be great, because constructive criticism is always welcome. All the socials at HCTHappen, HCTHappen.com for anything extra. Not sure if there's anything else I want to say here. So always thank you guys for pressing play, and we'll see you in a couple days with the next HDTH.
With Lucky Land Slots, you can get lucky just about anywhere.
Dearly beloved, we are gathered here today to... Has anyone seen the bride and groom?
Sorry, we're here. We were getting lucky in the limo and we lost track of time.
No, Lucky Land Casino, with cash prizes that add up quicker than a guest registry.
In that case, I pronounce you lucky.
Play for free at LuckyLandSlots.com. Daily bonuses are waiting. No purchase necessary. Void where prohibited by law. 18+. Terms and conditions apply. See website for details.
O'Reilly. It's Superstart Battery Month at O'Reilly Auto Parts. Get up to a $25 gift card after rebate with the purchase of select Superstart batteries. Our professional parts people will test your old battery for free and recommend the right battery for your vehicle. For power, performance, and reliability, choose Superstart batteries only at O'Reilly Auto Parts. O'Reilly.